have everyone on this seventh edition of Between You and Me. My name is Oluwatoyin Ibitola, and I'm so happy to be here again. Yeah, the seventh edition. How time flies! I was like, when it was about to start, I was like, can you really do this? And lo and behold, this is the seventh one. I want to say thank you to everyone who has always participated in one way or the other. And I want to say thank you to all my guests that have been here. You guys have been so wonderful. You've been so supportive, and I do not take that for granted. Thank you. Once again, I want to say thank you to my guests. My guest today is Oluwatoyin Adeyemi, and she's joining me from Nigeria. Do you want to say something? Would you like to say hello to our viewers today?
Hello, everyone. Hello, Tolokwe. I'm so glad to be on the show today. You're doing a great work.
Thank you.
I don't take it lightly that the fact that you have invited me to be on the show today. I don't take it lightly.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
I've watched some sessions of this program, and I can say that you are doing a wonderful job. And I'm sure that
I'm blushing. I'm blushing. Thank you.
And I hope that our listeners are going to get great value for their time with us.
Yeah, so I so much hope so as well. I look forward to a very good time with you, Toyin, today. So we'll be talking about some of the recent issues that have been happening in our environment, and some of these have domestic violence, child abuse, and a lot of things are actually happening. We even recently we heard about the Ponzi scheme. Let me not say Ponzi scheme because, but the business that people invested in, and one thing or the other happened, and there are no more. Their money is nowhere to be found. So things are really happening, and that is why we're having this session today. Let's talk to. There are two things that I really want us to concentrate on today, which is first the domestic violence aspect, and the second is the aspect of the child abuse, like what is really happening. And I understand that you are the convener of I don't, is that an NGO? No, a foundation tied to called the Women Shelter project. So let's begin on that note. I'm really curious that what was the inspiration to that for that project? Because as at when you started that project, you were not even married. So one would have said maybe you experienced something like that, because I realized that many people that I've seen ventured into projects like that. Many of them are survivors of domestic violence. So in your own case, you were not even married as at when you started that project. What is the inspiration behind that?
All right, thank you very much. You see, I get this question often, and what I have told people is the fact, and what I'm going to say again today is the fact that the Women Shelter Project is actually a project that I conceived from my passion for women, basically. It's not even that I had anyone that I can remember from my growing up years, maybe someone that is close to my family that I can't really say that. It was
Okay.
just I was born out of my passion.
Okay.
Women live a better life, you know. Because of the passion I have for women, I had taken my time to read so much about the women folk, our lifestyle, how we live, and what our challenges are, you know. And one of the challenges, the one that really struck me is the issue of domestic violence. I don't know how I got glued to it, but when I began reading about women and I got to that part, it was just a particular challenge that I saw that women are facing, that I think they need help
Okay.
to get from, you know.
Sorry.
And I don't want to go.
Okay, let's leave that for now. We'll go into the women's shelter later. I just wanted to asked that maybe there was something really particular. I was curious to know then. Okay, so now the United Nations defines violence against women as any act of gender-based violence that results or is likely to result in physical, sexual, or mental harm or suffering, including threats or coercion, whether public or private. So that is the definition of the United Nations about domestic about violence. Now, I want us to bring this definition to our own environment. I know that you would have spoken with a lot of women with this project that you have on ground. What's in our own environment, what would you describe as these abuses? Because a lot of people are even going through abuse and they don't know that it's an abuse. They just feel that it's the normal way of life. So, can you relate to us in a more relative term what
Um,
these abuses are?
I think we would need to narrow the concept
Mm-hmm.
abuse down. Do we want to? Okay, now we're talking about domestic violence actually,
Yeah.
and that happens within the confines of a marriage. A
Okay.
man and a woman that are married and living together in a place, So if you want to narrow it down, and like you said, abuse is broad. Domestic violence is the physical aspect of it.
Yeah.
There are also other ones. There's the financial abuse, you have the emotional abuse, the verbal abuse,
Yeah.
There are people who don't even beat
We even have the
back.
sexual abuse.
There's the sexual abuse because there are a lot of people who don't know that there's something called spousal rape.
Hmm.
Because our culture, I was on a radio show the other day, and a man called on the program and said something that struck me. He said, "Do you know
Okay.
that our culture supports domestic violence?" And that struck me. He said, in most cases, that the reason why many women don't speak out is because they know when they speak out, although people might condemn the husband and say, "Oh, why did you beat your wife?" and all of that, but at the end of the day, they're still going to tell her to go back to the husband's
Ah.
house.
Yes, they'll
So
tell her she's
they're
the
still going
woman,
to
she should build
say,
her home.
yes, they will use different, especially in Christianity, Bible verses to support that.
Mm-hmm.
Like just said, the wise woman builds her home, and they can even start shaming the woman and rather blaming the woman rather and say stuff like probably you have a caustic tongue. You are the one who has been abusing your husband, and there's the man said it on that day that our culture actually supports domestic violence. There's a way the society supports men who are abusing
Yeah,
their
it's the men's world.
the men's world. And I'm happy with, although I'm not so happy that he had to take the life of someone before people started speaking out and saying you have to leave, you don't have to die in the marriage. But these are the
Mhm.
same people who are
Who would
quick
condemn
just
you?
a single woman, yes, to say so someone turned out a particular way because they are from a broken home. And I'm also quick to tell people that I've seen so many people who grew up in broken homes who are doing well. Because if somebody stays in a child rather grows up in a toxic environment, the child is likely to be more damaged than someone who is raised by a single parent, by a LD, a wholesome single parent. The
Yeah.
person, you
So,
understand what I'm trying to
yeah,
say?
I
So
do.
it's better to raise for a single parent who has a sanity rights, or his sanity right as the case may be, to raise a child than for the child to stay in a toxic
Toxic
environment where he has to
environment.
witness abuse.
And the
That
child
kind of
sees it
child
as normal thing and grows
as
up
a
into
normal
it.
thing. That kind of child will probably grow up into a dysfunctional adult. Some
Hmm.
people don't even know that they have the capacity to abuse their partner until they did it. They didn't know that they have that capacity, but because of what they had gone through, you
Hmm.
understand? It's somehow, unless the person had sought for help. and had probably undergone a form of therapy, it could be spiritual wise too, you know, uh, except the person has got some form of help.
Mm-hmm.
They don't even know. Some don't even know that they have that capacity. They would eventually to play out, just like a film.
You know
So
that
I
some
hope
are even abused and they don't know that they're going through abuse because they
oh,
just feel
okay.
that that's how the society is and that's what
Mm,
is expected of them. Ah,
yes.
so- okay. Now
You know,
you mentioned while talking, you mentioned the society, and
yeah.
also the society includes a lot of system as well as the as religion that are, let me say, religious institutions. So what do you think should be the place of religious institutions in issues like this where domestic violence is happening? And looking at it, domestic violence does not just happen within marriages alone. Even some people, I heard about someone who was about to get wedded and had to call off the wedding because of what she has been experiencing. And I'm beginning to think like, if this has been happening before you even get into the marriage, then what happens in the marriage? What
Hmm.
happens when you then sign the everything and everything is over? Will you
Hmm.
not end your life there? So what is the place of religious institution in issues like this, in domestic violence? What are we supposed to do? What are they supposed to
There's while studying ahead of this program, I read some. I can't remember where I read it. I think it was one of the articles I was going through. And the woman said something that is very, very, very instructive. She said that our religious leaders are not trained to be professional counselors. So sometimes we expect too much from those people.
do?
So the Bible is very clear about divorce.
So I've heard
And
ministers
God
of God that there is
said,
no place that is clearly written about
mm,
divorce, like that you should divorce, except in the case of adultery. So that is what a lot of people, religious folks, are holding on to, that as long
mhm,
as there's no adultery involved,
as
there's
long as it's
no
not adultery. But,
divorce.
but we all know from what we have been seeing now that it's actually more dangerous for you to stay in a relationship where the man is beating you than even when maybe he's been adulterous, just like the Bible has said. So I would say that I don't even expect too much from religious leaders again. I don't expect too much from them, although they are authorities in the
Yeah.
lives of people who worship with them, and the best they could do is to counsel. But at the end of the day, it's the person who is in that situation that will now weigh their options,
Whether.
you know, whether
Mm-hmm.
they want to stay or not. And one thing I always tell people is some religious leaders don't even know
Hmm.
because of the culture of silence. Some women will not even tell anybody at all what they are going through. They would even be asking them, they'll say they fell down, or maybe they slipped from the staircase or something funny. First thing first, when something like that happens, what I tell women that me have spoken to,
I think
escalate.
there's an echo from your hand.
Okay,
I don't know if I'm the only one hearing it. It seems there's an echo.
okay. So I don't know, what can we do to that?
Okay,
Is that still
just
there?
whenever you speak, it echoes.
Mm.
So, okay, let's continue. I just wanted to be sure.
I I don't know
Is that
okay, so I feel like the first thing is to destroy that culture of silence. Because in most cases, when it happens for the first time, escalate. Like don't keep it to yourself. Tell people you are the victim. So why would you say you are not going to tell anybody? So tell your religious leaders, and then tell probably your parents, your best friends. Don't At that point be vulnerable with people who you trust, not with everybody. With
hmm,
people who you trust.
yeah?
Because I'm saying what I would do if I find myself in that
Anyway,
situation.
But
You
you know that
understand?
some people respect their religious leaders even more than their parents. So it's
Mm,
whatever the religious leader does or says that they listen to. So I think one would not really one would not really blame them so much for that. But I still think, like you said, that we should have the mind of our own. When things happen, eventually, it is not
yeah.
these religious leaders that will bear the brunt. We
Mm-hmm.
as humans will be responsible for our own actions and inactions. So
Yeah.
whatever we do as adults, responsible adults, we should also be able to bear the consequences. But now, I after talking about the society, the religious leader, I feel that there's this fear in people. Like you said, that some people even lie that they had a burn, they fell, or something. Um, is it fear? If these people are afraid to speak out, how about the people around them?
Mm.
Should they also keep quiet if they really care? That has been my own concern. If this person says, please don't tell this person that this is what I'm going through, and I'm able to see that this thing will, if it does not kill you, it will make you dysfunctional anyhow you want to say it. So why
Yeah.
am I not able to speak for that person? What do you think is delaying, is holding people back? Why are not speaking? Why are they not speaking up?
I think the first thing is that shame aspect. That's why I tried to emphasize on the culture of silence. A lot of people will be silent about domestic violence because they feel like if I tell people, they would laugh at me, or perhaps they will mock me behind me. you know so is I don't really think it's fear. I think it's shame. you know people tend to feel like they will
Okay,
shame them,
so
or they will.
this is my point. Now, when the people involved, some of them don't even know that they are being abused, but the people around them, when they see these things happening, should they not speak up? Like we,
The
in the
people
case of
around.
Osinachi, we now hear people saying, something, this happened while I was there. She told me this. And you can all see these things. If the person involved is not saying it as bad, the people around, are they not also seeing it as a bad thing? And they should speak up if the person involved is ashamed or afraid. What do you think
And
is
that's what
holding
you're trying.
people back?
I think I get your point very well. But the point still goes back to the fact that if the person going through abuse is not ready to leave, there's nothing you can do that will make that person leave. We first need to admit the fact that the person going through abuse first is already, the person will go through a traumatic phase, like after that abuse had happened. The person will go through a traumatic phase. So, what I feel the immediate family and people who are close to the person, who recognize the fact that this person is being abused, is to show as much love as possible to the person at that particular point in time. And
Mm-hmm.
don't try to blame the victim, which is
Mm,
what the society does a lot. You see, I said it on the program I attended last week. The first question they ask you is, what did you do? And I
mm.
would say it and I will emphasize on it. There's no justification for a man to beat a woman, except she probably slaps you. And even when she's the first person to hit you, you know, the biology still tells us that the man could be regarded as the stronger sex. So what I believe a responsible man should do in that case is even to walk away. But if you cannot walk away, if you feel like, oh, okay, she hit me first, which could be the only justification. Okay, the person slapped you. Okay, return your slap and leave. Do you understand? But then some men will say, okay, probably the person was abusing them emotionally,
Yeah,
like verbal abuse.
yeah.
Was not, she was ungrateful, she nags and all of that. See, nobody's destiny is tied to marriage.
Mm.
That that's one thing I know. Nobody's, as much as you are telling the woman to leave, you should also tell the man to that they can also leave to leave. Because if you kill that woman and you say, because anyway, we can do Oman Bumi, and then you beat her and kill her because of that, you will not also live.
Hmm.
It's either you die psychologically or you die in jail.
Indeed.
Yes. Because you cannot kill a person and then you two will function
Will not
normally.
be fully well.
Do you understand what I'm trying to say? So you can also decide to go for a divorce if you feel like, okay, this woman is abusing me and I cannot cope with how she's treating me in the house. Like I cannot cope with probably the emotional abuse that she's making me to go through. You can also choose to walk out of the marriage. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? So
Sorry, let me come in
mm,
there. Now we're
mm,
talking about the man also. If the woman is abusing the man emotionally or verbally,
mm.
and the man can also choose to go out of the
Yes,
marriage.
if he
It's
feels
still,
that
I'm
the
thinking it still
woman
boils
can
down to the
trigger him.
society. You know that
Hmm?
I've heard someone said to a man before that, oh, níyàwó, ó dẹ̀ ní o wà responsible. Like you don't have a wife and you're saying you are responsible.
Hmm.
Such statements also make some men stay in that environment, in that toxic environment, because they are afraid of what the society will say. Like they have a post to take up in their place of work or even in the religious gathering, and they hear that if you cannot take care, if you cannot handle just a woman, how are we sure you'll be able to handle a team? How are we sure you'll be able to handle an organization? How are we sure you can be able to take up this project and do it well if you cannot handle your family? And this
Hmm.
kind of things are the things that are words and statements that also tying some men down in relationships. You can imagine a man telling another man like, "Oh, níyàwó, then you are responsible." You know how demeaning that can be for a
I
man.
understand. I understand.
So,
But
men in this situation, I think it's not just the women that experiences this, although it's higher on the part of the women, the men are also involved. And I would like to advocate that these things should not just be women. And do you know the funny thing about it is that men now keep quiet because it's kind of shameful for them. Like, how can I say that my woman or my wife, somebody who I call my wife, because especially because of the structure of the society, because the man is the head, then how can you now say that somebody who I'm supposed to be the head over is the one controlling me, is the one abusing me? What can we say to men on this as well?
well, are you sorry? I want to get clarity on that question. Do you mean in a situation where the woman is beating the husband,
The woman
or
is also abusing the man, and the man is afraid to go out. The man is afraid to talk about it because of what the society will say. We have said so much about the women. How about the
yeah?
men?
That's what I was trying to say the other time. It's the same culture of shame, the culture of silence that keeps that makes people feel like they are going to people are going to mock me when I talk about what's happening to me. See, I'm sorry that I want to personalize this. One of the first breakthrough I think I had in my life was speaking out.
Mhm.
Yes, it was one of the first emotional breakthrough that I had in my life was speaking out.
Yeah.
Growing, I was an introvert. People who knew me in secondary school will confirm what I'm saying. I didn't have more than two or three friends. I just love to read books. You would because I grew up. I had many siblings. I grew up in a
Hmm.
big house. So they had books, and then there were so many books. So I grew up reading books. I didn't even. I didn't. Even, I read. I used to listen to radio and read books when I was growing up.
Hmm.
So I don't want to digress. The point I'm trying to make is the first time that I realized that whatever you are going through, you must have people you trust in your circle that you can open up to. See, if people cannot come to that point in their lives where you can say, yes, I have one, two, or three people that can share whatever it is I'm going through part time in my life, that person would probably live below the level they're supposed to live as a human being.
Hmm.
Because see, you can't live life on your own. That's one thing I understand. There was a day I called you and I shared something with you. You know, before I called you, I just needed somebody that was not even around me to somebody neutral, like I could just that doesn't know the other person involved, somebody
Yeah.
that can look at me and say, okay, do you understand? That was the major reason why I called you on that day. And sometimes people will say, oh sorry, oh, I don't have anybody I can trust. If you are saying, oh sorry, I don't have anybody I can trust, you have to check yourself too.
Hmm.
Because if you don't have any friends, see, I don't have plenty friends too. In fact, as I am, the people I can boldly call my friends, I'm adding you now, are no more than 4. Yes, I'm serious. Like,
Hmm.
and these are my friends. Other people, acquaintances, and all of that. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? And
Yeah.
you must have gone through a process with these
Process.
people, fight and what have you. But you can still look at these people and say, okay, whatever it is. You see, it doesn't mean those people are perfect too. It does not mean they are perfect. But when push comes to shove, how they put
Yeah.
it, who are people that you know that you can crash with? Like I tell women, if your husband sends you out of the house, if you have issues with your husband, do you have anybody that you can go to?
They can fall.
You can go to aside your pastor, your family, people that they will open their house to you and say, come, you can stay for as long as you want. If you are a good person, you can also open your own house to them. So they would also do the same for you.
Children.
You should have people like that in your house, in your life rather. Unless you're a bad person as well. I'm
Hmm.
not a perfect person too. I have my flaws, but
Yeah.
I have friends. So okay, I'm sorry, I've digressed again. My point is that shame, that culture of shame. No, see, it's a problem, and unless we even admit that people
That there's a problem.
that it's a problem when you can't speak out, when you don't have people in your inner circle that can tell you the truth and say, see, I have people I know that will go out of their way and say, Toyin, no, this is how it must be. you know. And I think that's the point we must
We
get
must all
ourselves.
get
Your
to.
partner is a human being like you, and it can happen at any time.
Exactly. So I think it all boils down to us as humans as well. Like you
Mhm.
build a relationship, build a healthy relationship because
Yeah,
when the ships are down, you would always have a
you're
place.
down.
You
Yeah.
always have a place to fall back on. We are
Mhm.
all humans and things
Mhm.
happen. We are not perfect, but we
Yeah.
should try as much as possible to have someone in our life who
Mhm.
we can always hold on to. Thank you so much for that submission, Tony. I want to quickly go through the chats again. Thank you, Olaiton Miriam. Thank you, Yemi Taiwo. Hello to Lokman Oluwatoyin. Thank you. Go see Olaiton. Ojukoya Oluwakemi. Thank you for being here. Bakunle Busayo says, I totally agree with Auntie Toyin. It is true that the role society plays in domestic violence is by no means small at all. Some people who frown at domestic violence will still say, don't leave your abusive relationship. They say endure. Endure what really?
Mhm.
Now, people will even say, everyone comes out now, domestic violence is not good. Domestic violence is easy. But they are still the one who will say stay. And I think, like you said, it still falls back to the society. It's still because of the shame. Like parents would not want their kids to come back to their houses, and friends would not like their friends to be out of their marriages. And so it's kind of really complicated here. Like people are saying, stay, endure. Marriage is not a bed of roses. And people are still saying, leave. So at what stage can we say people should leave?
Like you and I have also emphasized during the course of this program, is the choice of the person in that relationship. And I think what I would say to that person who is probably watching us now in that relationship is, do you think your partner is redeemable?
Hmm.
That's the question. Do you think your partner is redeemable? See, the first thing, this is what I would say to myself if I find myself in this situation. This is what I will say to myself. After it happened the first time, did you get help?
Hmm.
Was it sober? Do you think he was also a victim?
Hmm.
Do you think he's a bad person? Do you think he's a wife beater? You know, you are the only person who
Or
can
things just
answer this.
happened.
If you think he is redeemable, you understand, you know yourself if this person is redeemable.
Pretty neighbor.
If the person is not redeemable, you should be able to, okay, like I said, it's the same thing I would tell myself if I find myself in this situation. It happened. If it ever happens again, leave.
Hmm.
No matter how hard it's going to be, leave. Even when they
Okay,
were sober, even when they
Tony.
have shown kind of remorse, even when they have, that's what I will say.
Okay,
But
I'll
because
come
you know,
back to that if it ever happens again. I'm so
yeah,
sorry. I want to quickly go through some of this chat here as well. I stopped at Fakunle Kusayo, which led us to that topic, to that question. Okay, Olaiton says it's not echoing here. I'm sorry, I don't know why it was echoing on my hands the other time. So sorry about that. Okay, Oyeleye Jide listening, thank you. Oyewole Grace Aderonke, thank you. The stigma, yes, the stigma is what makes people stay. Oluwaseun greatness, thank you. And Aderonke Grace says the truth is that it is different to help someone who doesn't want to be helped. It is very difficult, like you said, exactly what you said. And there's always a saying that says you can force a horse to the river, but you cannot force the horse to take water. So I think we are still all saying the same thing now, that you as a person should seek help, should understand. But my problem now is that some people don't know that they need help. They don't know that they are abused. That
mm,
has been my own concern. A lot of people are abused and they don't know that they are abused.
mm,
And that is why I keep saying that. How about the people around them? But these answers I've been getting is that if you don't seek help, there's no amount of help people around you can give that can work. But you
mm,
know that if someone that does not know, they say that there's a difference between someone that knows they don't know. They seek for knowledge, then they seek for knowledge. But someone who doesn't know that they don't know, they assume that all is well. So someone who doesn't know that they are being abused, how can they seek liberation?
mm.
That's been
Well,
my own concern. I don't know
if,
if there's anybody who can answer this in the chat. Someone who
mm,
does not know, because a lot of people who are going through this don't even know they're abused.
mm,
And that is why they keep like, you don't know what is happening in the other house. Let me stay here. And how do they then get help?
well, I think it falls back on the society, if I may answer that. I think it falls back on the society. How much advocacy do we have? Like
Hmm.
what we are doing now, I'm sure a lot of people we get some form of education from what we're doing here, And then there's been a lot of advocacy in recent times on social media, on radio. That's the way I think the society can help. Because, like you said, there are so many people who wouldn't know they are abused because of the way they were raised. You were raised, for instance, in a conventional Yoruba home where
No,
the wife,
don't bring your back home here in a convention.
okay, in
You
a
don't.
conventional, okay, I'm just trying to say that there are homes where the wife is supposed to be like the maid, and
Hmm.
that's standard. That's like the norm. Where the wife is supposed to be the one to wash the husband's clothes,
Clothes.
whether she's working or not. It doesn't matter that she's the full
The
time.
house must be clean at all time.
The house must be clean at all times. Some people would even go as far as saying you must cook for me a new soup every day.
Fresh
I
food.
don't eat food that's been refrigerated, you know. So someone that was raised in a place like that where the mother is the person who slaves.
Hmm.
Do you understand? When the woman does something, the husband eats her and say, I'm correcting her, obìnrin, tẹ́ ẹ̀ bá bá wọn wí bẹ́ẹ̀ yẹn bí ọmọdé ni wọ́n, tán bá délé ọkọ náà tó máa ń, when they
Tomato
get to their
gbọ́.
husband house, Eh? That's
It's when
when
they get to their husband's house that they get wise, or they
that
get
they get,
all these things that we are teaching them.
you know. So you can imagine in that somebody who was raised in that kind of setting comes into marriage with the mindset that whatever my husband does to me, I
Is
have
right.
to endure it because of my children. You understand? Even when my husband beats me, Monji and your money, I have to do it for my children. Not knowing that you are even damaging those children.
Hmm.
Because, like I said the other time, a child that is raised in a toxic environment will be more dysfunctional than a child that was even raised by a single parent, by a
Yes.
healthy, wholesome single parent. You understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
So
I
it is
think
just
a lot
mm,
is being said on this case of abuse. I have Adekomi Akinlade says,
okay.
there's a place of confidentiality in this matter.
Mm,
However, there must be a separate agency to handle the matters so people experiences abuse can file a report. And I think
yeah.
that's what one of the things Oluwatoyin is doing as well, like to help women. In our own case, women, I understand there are men also going through this, but women who are going through this to create a home for them, either physically, emotionally, and in other aspects. Thank you, Akinlade. Serena says, brilliant points. Yeah, thank you. Tolulope Akinwale says, at the point, a victim says he or she is not leaving. It's not that they don't want to be helped. It's not about they are not coming to terms with having their marriage fail. It's no longer about the abuser, but how will it be heard that I have failed? So now the victim is now even being the guilty one here. Like now it's not because this person is abusing me, but how on earth will I not be able to stay in a marriage? Do you understand that, Toyin?
No, I didn't get that.
Now, Toluwakpe says here that it's no longer about the abuser,
Mm,
but how will it be heard that I have failed? Now, that's the abused talking. After he has said, yeah, there's a background to that last sentence. He said a lot of
okay.
things like some women, someone not leaving their marriage, and he ends with, after all has been said and done, it's no longer about the abuser, but how will the abuse be heard that they failed in their marriage? I think it's still the
That was
shame that
mentioned
you
it
talk
the other
about.
time. It's the shame. Yes, we need to be vulnerable. One
Hmm.
thing I learned, one of, like I said, one of the breakthroughs I had, like, is the fact that you need to get to the point where you can be vulnerable with people you trust, because they are the ones who will walk you through that process
Hmm.
and say to you, woman, I know you. You are bigger than this. The world is
This
waiting
is
for
what
you.
you
The
have to.
thing you carry is such that you cannot afford to waste it and let
Hmm.
it go down with you in this abusive relationship. They're the ones who will tell you, hold your head up. There's so much more for you to do in this world. There are destinies waiting for you to help. You cannot afford to go down like this. They're the ones who will give you. See, that's why I said that's the place of healthy friendships. You must call. I say to every woman I meet these days, be intentional about
About the friendship
keeping. Yes,
relationship.
about keeping friendships, the right ones. You understand? Be
Yeah.
wise and know that. See, you that man cannot be all in all for you. That's the truth. He's just a human being. You need other people in your life. You need healthy
Healthy
relationships.
relationship.
Yes. People you need other people, because see, it's women that have this problem most times. Do you notice that when a woman gets married, she's the one that will cut off her
Our
friends?
friends.
In most cases, the man will still go out with the guys, will still
They
maintain
still
his.
have guys evening time, guys talk, all the things. But it's the
But
woman that will say, I'm married now, face my husband.
But the way the family is, the fact that the mother is the nurturer, you're the one who is closer to your children, you know, and all of that, the way the family set up is, there's a tendency that you don't have time for your friend, but you have to be intentional about it.
Hmm.
It's yes, you have to be intentional about it because these are the people who will help you if anything like that should happen to you.
Yeah. Thank you,
Hmm.
Tony. At this point, I would say that there's a saying that I read somewhere that says that at that point when you feel that you need more, at that point when you feel that something is wrong, then you begin to look deeply. Maybe something is actually wrong. If you come to your senses and you begin to see that I think something is wrong, or you begin to feel that you need more of something, or you begin to say that you are not doing enough of what you should be doing, I think you should also look deeply into yourself and find solution. So, and that is to everyone here. Thank you, Adenike Oludem. The fear of what people will say. Yeah, that's it. The shame, the gossip. And Tolu also says that they sometimes can't stand the pressure of gossip from friends and family. Exactly. And there will be family functions, other siblings saying I should opt out of my marriage will come with their spouses and I will be all alone. And that's it. The fear of being alone for some people as well stops them from opting out of
That's,
abuses. Uh,
that's why we should befriend ourselves too. Some people cannot live by themselves.
that's what I say.
Mm-hmm. You should also be friends with yourself. I see. I'm not trying to exaggerate anything. My husband knows. I can be by myself. See, it's because I lived alone before I got married, and I enjoy my space. I see it even gives me time to read. There are things you can do. So some people cannot. Some people got married because they were looking for, I don't know, because they feel like
They
there's
were looking for
something inside
partners.
them. You understand? But
You
like
should
they
not be
tell us,
someone like me. I don't really. If sometimes I just like when people say I miss you, I miss you, I miss you. Before I can miss someone,
yes, that's how it should
that person
be.
must really be. Maybe that person must really be doing so much. Miss no, I don't really miss people. Like I can stay all alone, like even 1 year. As just but anyway, let's quickly go into other topic discussion because of our time. Now let's talk about the child abuse. I want to quickly read this. Uh, the World Health Organization 2020 report says that child maltreatment is the abuse and neglect that occurs to children under the age of 18. It includes physical, emotional, ill treatment, sexual abuse, negligence, and commercial or other exploitation. It includes all kinds of any kind of abuse that you want to talk about is what is child abuse. And every year there's an estimation that 40 to 150 homicide deaths in children under 18. So it's estimated that 40 to 150 homicide deaths occur in children under 18. And some of them are due to maltreatment. 1 in 5 women and 1 in 13 men report having been sexually abused as a child. With this maltreatment happening with kids, and this, especially the last part, 1 in 5 women and 1 in 13 men report having been sexually abused as a child. As parents, what are the things that we really need to put in place for our kids? Because at the rates that things are happening now, ah, I don't know. So what do we do as parents? It's one thing to be paranoid and I know and everything. After all the paranoid and everything, what happens again? What do we do?
Well, we can only try our best. But one thing that I know that parents need to do is to be more intentional about their parenting. So it's a decision. If you have decided to give birth to a child, know that your life is not going to remain the same. You
Hmm,
cannot have your cake.
and
And
have
you cannot eat your cake and have it. That's what I tell people these days.
cannot have your
There's,
cake and eat it.
see, there are so many things that I'm supposed to be doing right now that I'm not doing.
Hmm,
Do you understand? And I don't regret it, you know. So I think it still takes us back to the family unit. Parents need to support each other.
but,
you have to cooperate, especially where the mother is working and the husband is working. People who know me very well, I'd tried to say it's just that sometimes you have a control over the way your life will play out. Before I got married at all, I was looking, I actively looked for a federal government job because I desired to have
So,
a good home. Because I read the news a lot, I read books a lot, and I see what has been what was going on in the world even at that time. So I told myself, I don't want to be so much after money.
hmm,
I want to get married and I want to have child. When there was even no man in my life, because the best thing I can do is to talk experientially. You
mm-hmm.
understand? My mom was
Yeah.
not even a civil servant though. No. So my mom was a trader. Understand? But I had examples when I was growing up. And I say something to people, I observe a lot. I don't, if you are close to me in real life, I don't really talk too much like that, except probably we are close to an extent. I observe a lot. I'm someone who can sit in a place for close to 2 hours and then people will be talking and I may not say
Just,
anything. Yeah, I observe a lot. And I've lived with people at different points in my life and not even studied people too, not even just leave the people, studied people too. And I'm looking at what works. And it takes us, we're talking about intentional parenting.
yeah.
Before I got married at all, I had it in my mind that because I know myself, I'm a very, very passionate person. If I'm into anything, I'm into it. Like it's like friendship for me too. When I'm
Mm.
into something, I'm in it with my heart. I'm not really someone who does one leg in, one leg out.
One
If
leg
I'm
out.
not
So,
I'm not with you for that period. You will know
so
I'm not with
now,
you for that period. So my
having
point is,
talked about, okay, please complete your
I
thoughts.
cannot conclude that we need to plan our lives and know what works for us. So parents, see, it's not going to work. The father and the mother are going to be away from morning till night. Both parents, when those children are still maybe like below 10 years old. Do you understand? Or say, let's just say like maybe 8 years old for those period of their lives. So parents must come to that agreement and look at what works for us. Is it the father that is going to work less or the mother that is going to work less? I'm not going to tell any woman not to work at all.
Hmm.
It's either you are working from the home, even those who call themselves full-time, who are full-time housewives. I don't encourage anybody not to do anything,
To
not to
work
have
at
a
all.
yeah at all. No, that can't be right. No,
Hmm.
that can never be right. You have to have something doing. But my point is, how do you manage it such that both of you are not going to be away, especially when those in those children's early years, and then you have to leave your children in the care of someone who
So,
probably doesn't even know as much as you do about parenting, who doesn't have as much education, as much exposure, as much knowledge as you do. A random nanny. Some people will go and employ a stark illiterate and then they entrust the care of their child with that person from morning till night. And you expect that nothing will go wrong. No.
go on.
Because these are decisions that we have to be very, very intentional and deliberate about. There's things you do and you get certain results. They are practical things. Although so many people enjoy favor of God and like to say grace of God, and all of that. But we see what is playing out now. We saw that Chrisland video.
So
That child,
pathetic.
she was doing what she was doing right from her parents' living room,
Home.
from her home. So where were the parents while she was doing all of those things? Where were the parents? If you don't see your son for 2 3 hours, there's no phone, see, there are things that people even do. You can install cameras in your house, and then all the CCTV cameras. Someone was telling us about it the other day. You are anywhere, even outside the country.
You can
You can
see
use
what your
the
child
internet
is
to
doing.
access what's going on right in your house, even when you have entrusted. If now, like the extreme case, most of you have to work. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
But you should have at least a security measure in place. where you know what those children are doing when you are not there. You
Hmm.
can see them from wherever you are. I know those CCTV, they have internet
Yeah.
access where you can get to know what is happening. And there's also the place of these gadgets. They've been sharing these settings, these internet settings for a while
Yeah.
now, where you control what your parents.
Exactly. I have that with my son. Anything he downloads, I'm
Mhm.
seeing it right away. Like we are seeing it right away. Like just downloaded this. He
So
just
some measure
downloaded
of
this. He's
control.
watching this. So so
Mm-hmm.
you're able to
All
watch
of that has
what
to
they
be
do
in place.
online.
Mm-hmm. So I think with all of that, it's been
Mm.
intentional. We're able
You
to
can
do that.
mm. I also think that as adults, we should also do better.
Mm,
We should talking about that Chrisland girl.
yeah.
At least there was someone that would have exposed her to such horrible acts at that age. And I'm
Yes.
sure that it's not going to be let me not be too sure, but
Mm,
to an extent, it's not going to be an outsider.
mm.
It's someone who is close to them.
I agree. I agree.
And
Someone
as
close to
adults,
the family.
why do some people choose to destroy lives?
Mm. Ah, well, like we said, like I think we have said in the course of this program, some people were also victims themselves. Like there was a boy that I saw that video somewhere. I think it's like 13 years old or so, and they caught him having sexual intercourse with a much younger girl,
Girl.
and he said that it was the nanny, like maybe the house help or something, that introduced him to the act. So you see how the
So I'm
cycle.
talking that's nanny. How on earth? Why would they be so wicked to destroy? Because most of those kids, if care is not taken, their lives end up being so dysfunctional, so jeopardized. I was watching one on YouTube the other day. This guy is 24 years old, and he said that it was an aunt that introduced him to that act. A married aunt, for that matter,
Mm.
when he was 13.
Sister, you
And
you
now
see,
the guy is really so much into it that he said
mm,
with in a day he can't do without having sex.
you can
Sorry
imagine.
about that. And
Mm,
then and and the guy's life is so much like he can't concentrate on anything now because he's
mm,
always looking out for somebody or for an object, and now he's
mm.
crying out for help. Why would people destroy people's life, kids' life like that?
But you see, we can't really, these are human beings. And people are, see, there's really nothing we can do about that. Because some people are psychologically damaged, and if they
Yeah.
feel up, they continue to perpetrate that. But what can we do as parents? Is to
Yeah.
protect our own peace. There was a time I wanted to go somewhere and to to visit a relative. Like I think I was still in the university there, and the person said, the wife said that I could not come at that time.
Hmm.
That time I was angry. But later, when I am much more exposed and I have better knowledge, I stopped being angry at the person because I realized that she was protecting her space. She didn't really know much about me. I
Hmm.
was like a distant relative to them. She was keeping her space. You understand?
One cannot be too careful these days.
Yes, she was keeping her space because some of us, our culture is such that we feel we want to help other people and then we bring them into our homes at the detriment of our own children.
On
You expose your own children to danger because you want to
hmm.
please a
Please
stranger.
other people.
You want to please other people.
You can't
So
say no.
you can't say no. Why can't you say no? People you don't trust like that, you don't really know the antecedents so much. You just feel like, okay, I'm just trying to help. I just want to help them. And then they come and damage your own children.
Hmm.
And when they are in your homes, do you have, like we said, do you have a security camera
That
in
you're
the
able
home?
to see what
That
they are
you're able to
doing.
see what they are doing when you were not there. Because you have to test. Even the Bible says test all spirits. You can't just trust people blindly. You need to monitor what happened before. You understand what I'm trying to say? When you were not in your house, if you see anything strange, you will know how to.
Yeah. And
The best is to even avoid all those drama. Just protect your space. Help people from outside.
set your boundaries.
Set your boundaries. That's the word. Thank you. Except people you now trust.
Mhm.
Ah. Hey, bring them into your space. You cannot say you want to make other people lives better, or you want to help them, and then you are hurting your own
Your
children
own child, your own life.
child. See, let me share an experience I had. This is a personal experience. When we were growing up, because my dad was that kind of person too. He liked to help people, you know. He used to have money. He
Hmm.
was very rich. He was, and I think he was that sly in spirit, although don't let me even go too much. So this particular time he brought this lady into our house.
Hmm.
And I still remember the exact words she used. And she will be telling me some damaging stuffs, some very, very damaging stuff. She will be running me down. She will tell
Hmm.
me, "Ah, why is your nose this big?" I'm serious. And then she will say stuff like, "Ha, why are you so dark?" Eh, I'm trying to remember all the things she used to say to me.
Can you
And
imagine those
like
stuffs?
see, I'll be crying. And I did not even tell my mom. I was supposed. I remember she even collected one shirt from me and said, "It doesn't suit your color."
Hmm.
I'm
And one
I'm
begins to
chocolate.
lose self-esteem with all
To
those
lose
words.
self-esteem. Somebody my dad brought to. He wanted to help. I brought her into the house. And I had to go through all of that just because my dad wanted to help somebody. So I'm not just saying these things. It was something I experienced. And that's one out of like three that I can remember vividly. Yes, like three that I can remember vividly. But at least that one is manageable. So let me just talk about that one.
Hmm.
These
I
things are
imagine.
really. Mhm.
Let me quickly read Folashade message. Thank you, Folashade, for joining this session. She said, yes, we as parents should be very careful. In fact, if we carry someone I don't really know at the back seat in the car, I don't allow my children sit alone with them. You can't tell what people are up to, just being extra careful. Can
Yes.
you imagine? Now it has got
The
to
word
that
I
stage that
what that word I just said there's a post I wrote not long. I said mothers be paranoid. Let
hmm,
them say you have trust issues. Shebi is because
yeah. And the person will be looking at you like, why are you doing all this? Please don't mind them. Let them look. You know, you understand why you are doing these things. In fact, it has really, really gone so bad. Like now it has got to the stage that even as children, we have to start some discussions with them, some
Yeah.
conversations that necessarily normally they are not supposed to. But with the way things have gone now, these conversations have to start.
It's because of
Uh
the world we have found ourselves in.
yeah, these conversations, like the conversations that I'm trying to put it in a way that as children, they are not supposed to get into this kind of conversations. But because it has got to this stage now, they just need to understand it. They just
Yeah.
need to be involved and understand these conversations in a way that they can understand it as kids. Like I
This
tell
time,
my 3-year-old child, don't do this. Even your
mm-hmm.
brother, like if his brother is him somehow like that, say,
Yes,
immediately
Mr.
she talks.
I think Mr. Fakule should be watching now. I'm sorry for putting. Yeah, Mr. Sayo Fakule sent me material this afternoon about sex education
Mm-hmm.
for children, for the girl child actually, and he was talking about the private parts
Yeah.
of the girl child and how we're supposed to educate them on those private parts. Nobody should kiss me on my mouth.
Uh-huh.
Nobody, tummy is my private part. Nobody should touch. Very soon, I'm going to have breast in my chest. Nobody should touch my chest. If
Nobody
anybody
touches me.
touch any of my private parts, I should run away or report to somebody. It was so funny.
Like it's so funny now that sometimes the brother will be like, is she not my like no, I know she's your sister, but one like the way it is, one just have to we just have to how do they put this thing? To get these things done, you just have to do more. We just have to do more. Thank you so much, Oluwatoyin, for this very engaging time. And before I will still need to talk about the women's shelter, but I want to quickly talk about this. Now we've talked about the parents being intentional, being purposeful, being protective of their children. Now, as kids, what do we do? What do they do? What do they do? Because I remember growing up as a child, when I see something that when I see someone beginning to do some give some actions, I run away. I just like, I don't know. It's not that I was able to tell anybody, but I know when somebody is going beyond, and
Mm.
immediately I just decide. I remember I'm still able to picture that guy now. And I was in maybe just I was in secondary school. Every time he just do like this, like he wants to see me. What are you seeing me for? It's an uncle. What are you seeing me for? What are when he sees me from you do like this, like what is this guy? Immediately, I just stopped. I stopped talking, and there are a lot of things like that. So as kids too, I think maybe the way we should also train them. Like there are things that you should not accept apart from the place of parents. What do you say to that story? Like what is expected of kids as well?
Of kids, I believe that whatever the kids are going to do, it's still the parents that will teach them. So we're still going back to the roles of parents. Personally, I remember that when I was growing up, in my mom's own little way, she would tell me, see, if a man should touch you, if a boy rather will touch you, you will
Mm-hmm.
get pregnant. She would say, ah, well, I remember when I started menstruation, and my mom said, ah, it's a you. I've
But you know
become
that that's another wrong teaching. Like
you
if a
know,
guy touches you, you're
but she
pregnant.
tried to teach me within the limits of her own knowledge. And it worked for me actually. Because I at that time or later, like I told you, I read so much above my age. I
Hmm.
read so much above my because I had these elderly ones who were pure art students, so they had a lot of literature books, we had a lot of education materials in my house. So later, I began to understand better. Like, okay, my mom was just trying to scare me, and this was what she meant, and you're not supposed to. And she knew also that I loved education so much, and she would say that if you make any mistake and you get pregnant, yeah, she would say school turn here,
Mhm.
eh? you know that and there's a way she would say it, but we know better anyways. So I
Hmm.
believe that like that material Mr. Fakunle sent today, we should get materials like that. We don't see if we're going to teach our children within the limits of our own knowledge. If I don't know what to teach, see, some people will say that their spouses should be full-time housewives so that they can have time for the kids, so that the kids should not be wayward. If you make someone a full-time housewife and the person doesn't have access to the right knowledge to imbibe in
Hmm.
those children, it's still like you're still going to come back to the same thing you're trying to prevent. You understand? But
Yeah.
as parents, what we need to do is to also equip ourselves with the right knowledge. How can we be better parents to our children? I read that
Hmm.
thing today. I was like, oh, there's so many things I didn't even know. But from that material I sent, I got a few
You get
things.
a lot of
You
information.
I got lots of information. So now I've told myself again that I'm going to go out of my way to search for more knowledge on how I can be a better parent to my child. And some of us think it's just about girl child. The male child too, we must not ignore them. Because you see what had happened over time is that we were training those female children. We were grooming them, teaching them how to be responsible and all of that.
How to
And
be
then
submissive.
how to be submissive and all of that. And at the end of the day, you now have you have a set of properly educated, knowledgeable, empowered female that cannot really find their match because
Hmm.
the male children have been ignored, they've been left behind.
Behind.
We should also be intentional about how we train our male
No.
children so that they would not be the ones to frustrate these women that we are empowering.
Hmm.
If if,
Great
if
thoughts.
she has everything and then she's always meeting people, she feels like I'm not there when it comes to those things she knows, you understand. At some point, she may have to settle down for less than she knows herself that she actually deserves.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
That's
Yeah. Okay. Tolu says, can we be
okay.
allowed to talk? Yeah. I'm thinking we'll have a session for that. We'll have a a one-on-one live session for that one, Tolu. But if you have any sort of comment, kindly put in the comment section. If you have a question as well, put in the comment section. Kindly share, react. I say thank you to everyone who has been reacting this session, because I know that a lot of people have so many things to learn from this. Thank you so much. As parents, we have to be purposeful. We have to be intentional. We can't be too careful. As kids as well, we have to be responsible. When we train kids who do not take they do not take responsibility for their actions, they end up being irresponsible adults.
Mm-hmm.
So when a child does something,
Same, yeah.
it's as simple as you give a child something and you say thank you, and you teach the child even 2 years, 3 years to say thank you. The child will not grow up to be so entitled, like if they don't do it, who else will do it? So it all starts from that stage. Teach your child to be responsible. Teach your child to, no matter how busy you are, let's try to raise responsible kids. It's been a very wonderful time. Now, let's quickly talk about childhood. It's not going to be a very long set, because I remember you talking about, because this program is also about people learning from our experiences. I remember I read something you wrote about your childhood where you grew up in a situation where the father and the mother belong to different religions.
Uh-huh.
Like, and how was it for you as a child? How did you manage that situation? Was there no conflict of interest? Like, let everybody come here, let everybody go there. I believe that there are some people who are listening or will be listening, may have something to learn from your own experience as a child.
And how do I even approach that now? Okay, personally, I think because children have their own minds at the end of the day, you know, they would eventually choose the faith that they feels is
Hmm,
best for them at the end of the day, no matter what the parents try to do. But personally, this is my own opinion, anyways. I would advise or I would not advise rather that someone should go and marry someone who's not of the same faith with them. Because it
hmm,
causes a lot of confusion in the mind of the children.
hmm,
Because you well, it's still good in a way because you see both, but at that point, but when they are still children, I don't know,
hmm,
you have to agree anyways. Because in my house they agreed that we should, the husband is the head of the home, so we're going to Ilekewu. But my mom was just sneak out.
to church.
you know so I grew up in both sides. Like, oh, yeah, I was going to church at some point, and I will still go to Lake and I will still go to vigil at night sometimes. And personally, I think I'm someone who had always been strong-willed in a way. So even when my mom didn't know, when I was still very small, I wanted to understand what she was reading in her Bible. So I'll carry it. Even when I
Hmm,
had got to Lake. So personally, I would not advise that somebody, because that confusion, I don't think a child needs to go through it. Because no
hmm.
matter how you think you want to manage it,
Yeah, I understand your point. So now you're saying that it still boils on principles. It's like somebody who has some principles and the other person do not believe in that principle. At the end of
oh
the day, it's
yeah,
become conflicting.
it becomes conflicting. It becomes
Hmm.
conflicting.
Um,
It's actually one of the points I wanted to make, and please let me quickly make it. See, we can't really teach our children what we are not showing them through the way we are living our own lives. See,
hmm.
children they will model after what you do in
Yeah.
most cases. It's not really about what you tell them to do. It's really about how you are living. That's why most pastors' children, some rather, let me use most, end up being wayward because some of them live double lives. You
Double
are
standard.
preaching, yes, you are living, and then the children are like, oh, you understand? So I think as parents, that moral responsibilities on us. Once if you want your children to turn out well, you should also start living well. What are your values? Are you praising the politician that is stealing
Hmm.
funds? Are you lying in their presence? Are you watching pornography and you think the children will not know? Are you all these things? Because when parents don't have values, they think that because they are telling the children this thing is not good, but you are doing that thing that is not good. You think the children they will not
Yeah.
see or don't know.
Our kids learn more from observation, from what they see. You can
Yes.
say this 100 times, but if they are not seeing you doing it, yeah,
Mhm.
thank you. Now, let's quickly talk about the women's shelter. How does the shelter intend to help women? Can you talk about that briefly?
So, like I said the other time, I just realized that this issue of domestic violence is one of the major challenge that women go through. We've talked about shame, but another aspect we have not touched is that issue of where do I go when I leave? Where
Yeah.
do I?
So
It's not
that's where the women's
everybody.
shelter comes in.
That's where the women
If I've
shelter.
spoken of, if I've overcome the level of shame and I'm
Mm,
speaking up,
they're not
then where
even
do I
saying
go from here?
leave. They're not even saying leave that man permanently. That's not the focus of women shelter project. But the point is at that point when domestic violence happens, separation, temporary separation now, you know,
Hmm.
is the first thing that should come in. That woman needs somewhere to go and get her sanity back. You understand? So, and then it's not just going to a place. In that place, she needs counseling, rehabilitation. So she must be in her right senses for her to make that decision of whether I want to go back or not. So we want to provide that safe space where she can come. And then she's also empowered for those who don't probably have a good job. Some people don't want to leave abusive relationships because they are not financially empowered. So if we have a place where women can feel safe, it's they call it a safe house too. I
Okay.
think this one is also trying to do the same thing. Adejumo, this is it Funke Adejumo now,
Okay, bypass of okay.
something like that, where
Yeah.
she can go and she can feel safe for a period of time. You know, so that's basically what we're trying to do. And thank you for what you did during your birthday. We still
Oh,
need support. Still
so
need support.
don't
There's
mention. So I want to
registration.
ask that how do you want people to come here to if
Okay,
there's any assistance they want to give or
okay.
something like
Basically, what we need now is funds. In fact to register the name that we want to use. A lot of people had registered shelters in this town particularly that are not functioning.
that.
So it's even been a problem to register
The
the
shelter.
project. So we need funds basically. And then what I say is even if we don't have a shelter now, we can start by empowering women and providing counseling for them. So if you don't even have money to give us, you don't have one of my brothers actually told reached out to me recently after I put out my last post about the women shelter project and said we should look for any abandoned federal government property that is going to push for us to get it.
Wow.
So I think that's a major one for us.
So it
So
is.
if we get that, all we need. But for now, what are we trying to do for now? I've just tried to work with other organizations that are doing the same thing. And some agencies of government as well, where we refer people to. So basically, we'll be happy if we get people that will support the cause through funds.
Hmm.
And then if you're a counselor, we need your help too, so that we can refer people to you. Or if you have a vocational center, maybe you're a fashion designer, there are people who want to be empowered
Learn.
and don't have money to go for such trainings. So those are the aspects. Thank you very much for
That's a good one, Oluwatoyin. And it's my prayer that this dream would blossom. It won't die.
that.
There will be
Amen.
destiny helpers. All right.
Man,
Thank you,
and I want to
everyone.
also appreciate you. You have been a major support system, especially on the Women's Shelter project. I don't take it lightly at all. All you do, all your support, I really appreciate. And I pray that
You're
you will
welcome.
never lack destiny helpers too.
Amen. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for the good things that you do here and beyond as well. Yeah. Thank you, everyone. It's been a very interesting time, engaging, enlightening. I want to say that every edition of Between You and Me, I'm always inspired. I always get something that challenges me. Yeah, no one is perfect. So listening to other people, you get inspired, you get challenged. If this person can train their child like this, if this person can do this, if this person can do this, well, what is holding him back? And that is the aim of this program. And I'm happy that as I'm gaining from it, I also believe that there are people out there who are gaining from it. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, all the viewers, all the listeners. Thank you for everyone who has commented, who has contributed, everyone who has reacted. And I want to say, please share this as well. Let it reach to people. And the women's shelter, let's not forget about. Thank you for Lashadi. We should allow children to express their thoughts and correct them. Children should be taught to say no with confidence and accept no to yes. And that's one thing I want to say thank you to my husband for. He's really doing that one with the kids. Don't
That's
just say that the world is yours. Like there are times that there will be no. There are times that there will be yes, and we should learn how to deal with this. And when we learn how to deal with these things as kids, we grow up to be responsible adults. Thank you. I can't thank you enough. Tolu, we'll have another time where we have a one-on-one conversation, a live session. I can't wait to have that with you because I know you've got a lot of wisdom to share. Thank you. Yeah. So, Tony, parting words. We should come to the end.
Once again, it's been a learning time for me as well. You know, when you express what you know, sometimes you realize that you still need to find out more. And it's been a pleasure being with
Yeah.
you here. Thank you for the privilege. I consider it a privilege. And thank you for all you do. Thank you. You are
It's my
inspiring.
pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for accepting to be here too. And I do not take that for granted.
Anytime. Anytime.
Yeah. All right, everyone. So we'll meet again. I'm not sure this will hold in 2 weeks' time, but we'll definitely come back again. And I just need to prepare a mind that it may not come up in 2 weeks' time because of some personal things I'll be doing at that time. But I'll give updates on when next this is going to come up. Thank you, everyone, for always being here for the inspiration, for the motivation, for
Thank
the
you.
reactions and everything. And I want to say have a restful weekend. Let all this that we've learned today, learn how to say to set your boundaries, learn how to say no, learn how to accept no. Learn how to be responsible for your actions. Learn how to train your kids. Be protective of your kids. Don't let anyone talk down on your kids. And as you're doing that, don't let them also talk down on people. And a lot of things. Just let's keep being good. Let's keep loving ourselves because we can only give from the abundance of the love that we have. Till I come your way again. My name is Tolulope Ibitola. Bye bye for now. Thank you.